Good afternoon to everyone here. If you're here at the show and you happen to see Nick Elms after the show, please buy him a drink. Good afternoon to everyone online, or good evening, or good morning tomorrow. I think that about covers everybody, seeing as we have everybody across the globe. Thank you all for joining us here, and welcome to CitizenCon 2016. CitizenCon is essentially a celebration of all of you together, essentially all of us, and what a shared group of people with like-minded people can achieve. The seemingly impossible, we make it possible. So here is a video that highlights our journey so far.
My name is Chris Roberts, and I would like to build a universe with you.
Before even the campaign, before even Chris's GDC announcement, he had this idea of wanting to create a place, because he knew that there was going to be a long time in development from the crowdfunding to the actual release of the game. And so, foundationally, very early on, wanted a place for the backers and the fans of Space Sims to be able to get together and talk and share stories about games that they love and talk about stuff, and the haven, to find kindred spirits who share the same love.
The Star Citizen community means pretty much everything to me. That was why I got involved in this project. And it's what energizes me, everyone I work with, I think everyone in the company.
I really always wanted to build a game that sort of put me in one of these worlds and let me adventure, but I wanted it to be in a way that I sort of went around and really felt like I was in the world. And so up until then, that was sort of the things that I sort of felt had been missing from a lot of games.
Chris had this really big vision for a big world, and so while he was still creating that, we were creating the community website, and we were interacting with all of you guys, and it just kept building and building.
The community that Star Citizen has developed over the past 4 years has devoted thousands of hours into making sure that Star Citizen becomes the best game it can possibly be.
It really proves what we can achieve without a publisher.
You've got that brilliant, immediate communication, back and forth.
The backers and the subscribers are with us, they're not in studio with us, but we really feel that they're with us.
And it's been fantastic, it shapes what we're doing every day. People look at it, take note of it, and everybody's opinion matters.
We read the forums, we read the comments, and that feedback is also felt.
Just from them playing, it's giving us a tremendous amount of information.
You're sort of sharing stuff almost daily and getting feedback, and you're riffing off what people are sort of responding to. And I think there's an energy that comes with it. They're waiting for cool stuff from you, their hopes and dreams are with you, and you kind of want to not let them down.
We just want to make the best game we can. We want to make something which has never been made before, and we're not prepared to compromise that vision.
This is the fourth CitizenCon since we launched in 2012, and it's quite a great opportunity to reflect for a second how far we have come. We started out with 12 people, Chris, Sandy, myself, Ben, and a few other volunteers. After adding Los Angeles and Austin, really ramping it up in 13, we added Manchester in 14, we added Frankfurt in 15, and now we are at 360 developers and support staff in all these locations, all thanks to the community having given us this incredible opportunity. I'm not aware of any other area, whether it's in games or elsewhere, where this has been done and where an organization like this could be built strictly on the basis of this fan and community support, and it's just absolutely great.
We do events with the community all the time. Backers are there, they're hanging out with us. They're telling us how excited they are about what they've just played, how excited they are about the work we've just done, how excited they are about work that they've seen partway in development, right? That's all stuff that the team gets energized and pumped up about.
At Gamescom this year, on the show floor in the convention, we had hundreds of thousands of people over the course of the week come and see us, and we were exposed to that, and we had people lining up for 2 hours at times just to play Arena Commander, see what was already playable in the game.
There's people all around the country and the world that I would not have had the luxury of meeting and befriending if it wasn't for Star Citizen.
As I followed the game, as I brought it into my streaming career, and got to meet the community, all of it just kind of kept snowballing.
To me, Star Citizen means freedom. Freedom from publishers, freedom in gameplay, freedom for many to live in an online universe they have been wanting for decades.
Test Squadron, it's a fantastic community, and that really is what this is about. We're just a small slice of the greater Star Citizen community.
Once they started being able to walk around, I think they started to really recognize the possibilities of what was happening.
Star Citizen is a chance to finally get to be an astronaut without having to be good at math.
I decided to try out racing tech. I think it was the Mustang Gamma, and I play one-handed, so I have to use voice tag. And it took me a while to get used to it, but eventually, like by the 5th or 6th lap, I was getting the hang of it, and it was really enjoyable. So I'm really happy that Star Citizen allowed people like me to enjoy the game.
We got into a 20-minute dogfight until he was too damaged, and I ended up chasing this guy to about 3 different comrades before he went to Port Olazar. And since it was a neutral zone, the only way to get the kill, I went blades out and went for the ram.
Actually took off in a few different ships and flew to the backside of a moon, and it was actually kind of cool seeing the dark side of the moon, but also when we cruised around and we slowly saw the sun just coming across the horizon, and to me that was kind of a really beautiful moment.
Typically in development, us devs were locked in a room for building for years, right? Without much visibility, without much feedback on really what we're doing. With Star Citizen, we're so open with the community and forward-facing. They see what we do. To get that feedback from people, to get the appreciation of the work and the effort that we're putting in, that in return drives the team.
They show us the good and the bad in gaming development, and we never really seen that before, and they continue to push the boundaries on gaming.
The freedom with not having a publisher and setting goals and deadlines, it means that we can concentrate on what we think means the most to the fans.
We're always striving to build new tools so that the community can communicate and share their feedback and ideas so that we can incorporate it into the game.
Issue Console is a tool that we created to allow our community to not just submit bugs, but ultimately make Star Citizen better. With the scope and the size of this game, we don't just value the bugs submitted from our backers, we need them. Sometimes they even show up with marked Bug Smasher event.
Welcome to Bug Smashers. You ready to smash a bug? Let's get started.
All of us who back this game know that CIG and Chris are doing something special here.
Because the community supports us, we're able to make these excellent shows like Around the Verse.
Welcome to episode 100 of Around the Verse.
Just as a little highlight for you guys, we're going to take a brief look at the Bengal. It's the first ship that Chris revealed for Squadron 42.
There's lore makers, etc., just to show you not just how we're making this game, but kind of dig a little bit more inside of what it takes.
One of our favorite fan video editors, a gentleman named Years100, created the Imagine trailer. He took all of our videos, he cut them together in new and exciting ways. It's one of my favorite ways that the community has influenced not just the development of our game, but the development of our game presentation.
Welcome to the Next Great Starship.
The Next Great Starship was a show that we put together because they actually wanted to get involved and make a ship for Star Citizen. So these great pieces that not only got integrated into our game, but also into our team. We have some of the guys from Next Great Starship are actually on our team today, continuing to push the envelope on every spaceship you see that goes into Star Citizen.
Star Citizen is a dream that thousands and thousands of people across the world share.
The most immersive and diverse space game ever created. A game that can change the way we think about gaming in general.
Everyone has given their thoughts, everyone has given their ideas, and everyone is so friendly.
I would like to thank all of you guys, everyone, potential backers, fans, everyone for the incredible amount of support, because we couldn't have done it without you.
I want to thank the community. You have made this job so rewarding. You have made Star Citizen so much better.
When Star Citizen launches properly, like what someone would consider a commercial release, we're actually, by the time we get there, we know we're going to have millions of people there excited to play and be part of it. And I think that's a massive benefit of being open and doing what we do.
Star Citizen is, and always will be, more than a AAA game. So much more. Please raise your hand if you have made at least one heartfelt connection with another human being while being part of this project in any shape or form. Please give up a smile for one memory on Star Citizen that has absolutely made your day.
I am a Star Citizen.
I am a Star Citizen.
I'm a Star Citizen.
I'm a Star Citizen.
I'm a Star Citizen.
I'm a Star Citizen.
We are Star Citizens.
I am a Star Citizen.
And I'm proud to call myself a Star Citizen.
It's an amazing journey that we've been on, and it's only going to continue. That reminds me from last year, and I had a bit of a rough time, and I also had a bit of a rough time this year, and I would personally like to thank, I'm going to cry again, God damn it. I would personally like to thank all of the community, because if it weren't for you all, I don't know how I could do my job. I think I've mentioned this before, but it is the first gaming community that I've ever been a part of, and I'm biased to say that it's the best gaming community ever. Okay. And now my mind's gone completely blank. I would like to give a shout out to Rico for creating barcitizen.sc. I remember earlier in the year, Alexis and I sat around and I said, I really want to, because there's 1,000 people here, but we have hundreds of thousands of fans all over the world in every single country. And so Alexis and I came up with Bar Citizen, and we kind of had to make it select because, we had so many. In Frankfurt, give it up for Frankfurt, they had like 200 and something people respond. So we had to do 3 Bar Citizens. So Rico has created barcitizen.sc. Within 3 weeks, we've already had 27 Bar Citizens around the world. Some of them going on tonight. So if you'd like to attend one of those or host your own so that everybody around the world can hang out together, then check that out. Oh no, okay. Sorry. Oh. In other community news, the referral program that we launched last year, we've actually had 2 fans who have got 1,042 new backers into the game. And both of them receive a Million Mile High Club that they can invite their friends to. The first one, I think we mentioned him last year at the live stream. His name is AlphaCast, and he's from France. And then the other one, Shwimi, is from the USA. So give it up for those 2. Before I hand over to Chris, I would like to thank all of our volunteers. Where are our volunteers? Can you raise your hands? All of our streamers who have been streaming for the past 3 days, where are you? And then an appreciation for all of our staff who have been working around the clock. Chris, would come home pretty much most nights this week at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd ask him how it's going. So, yes, exactly. So props to all of our staffs and our contractors from around the world. Your support, and support from all of you fans basically encourages us to keep raising the bar. And so now, without further ado, I would like to introduce Chris Roberts.
So, really, I should applaud you. I mean, we made that video for you guys because that is genuinely the way that everybody at any one of our studios and everyone that is at partners like Behavior or Turbulent feel, because we would not be here. We would not have the opportunity of building the game we are, pushing the boundaries we are without everyone that's in this community, in this room, that's in the community around the world. So, you know, I'm a Star Citizen, and thank you guys so much, because you guys are fucking awesome. I love you guys, and I'm pretty sure everyone else that's working on this game loves you guys. So you are our secret sauce. You are what makes us go. You make it easy to work hard, because you know there's a massive amount of people out there that love and are excited by what you're doing. And that is, if anyone does anything creative or actually doing anything, that is really important, and you give us that. So thank you so much for that. Anyway. So as a bit of a reflection, because, you know, I look back, I mean, sometimes you're so busy working and, you know, just what are we doing tomorrow? What are we doing tomorrow? You don't ever get a chance to go and say, you know what? It's amazing what we've achieved already during the past 4 years, and, you know, what we're going to do in the future is going to be even better. But I mean, just I look back on it, and, you know, I look at that video and I go, you know, this is incredible. I mean, we have such an amazing community. We've built so many. There's so many connections being built. There's a lot of. I mean, people are playing games now. They're streaming now. I mean, it's just a fraction of what's going to be in the final game. But, you know, I keep like reading stuff online and seeing these YouTube videos or seeing Twitch streams, and I'm going, wow, that looks cool. And I can't believe that all these people like spent, you know, an hour trying to find someone stranded on the far side of a moon somewhere or an asteroid field. And generally, like, most gaming communities tend to sort of like shoot each other and troll each other. And I know we have a little bit of that in our community, but I think I would say more often than not we have a community that helps each other out, and, you know, they help each other play the game, understand the game. I mean, you guys do a much better job than us in terms of actually like educating on how to play the game. We're going to get better at that. But we're busy building sort of some of the core tech and everything. But because of you guys, we've sort of grown. So looking back at it, if you take a look at it here, I mean, this is sort of a timeline we thought it'd be interesting to lay out. You know, obviously we launched 4 years ago tomorrow, you know, back in October of 2012. I look a little younger there, by the way. It's a little bit like the US presidency, I think. You sort of aged a lot as you get into it. And so, you know, obviously we got the money, but then you've got to get the offices and start hiring people. So our first office opened in January of 2013 in Austin, and I think we started with 11 or 12 or 13 people. Then we opened the LA offices in April of that year, where we had, I think, about 5 or 6 people. We managed to get the hangar module out in 2013, which was actually quite an achievement, considering we were still just opening offices and had a very small number of people. But that was, you know, the GamesCon at, you know, 2013, which I think would always be a very special memory for me, because it was our sort of first event with all you guys in person, and it was pretty amazing. But, you know, at the end of 2013, we had 48 people, which is a lot less than we have now. Let's see if it moves. I know. Eric, I don't know why it's not moving. Yeah, red 1, there you go. Okay. So, you know, and then we're lucky enough to have my brother and some other key, you know, old friend. I mean, you know, I have, you know, Nick Elms, who was working on this presentation, who's our creative director of Foundry 42. So Nick and myself and my brother and Phil Meller all grew up together, and then there's a few other key members of Foundry 42 that are here that we've known for years. We worked on Star Lancer together, so, you know, for instance, Derek Sr. and later on Paul Jones, and they're all here around the audience, so get a drink with them later on. But we opened We're very lucky to have them come aboard in January, and it was mostly because of your guys' support that I felt comfortable enough to go to my brother, who was, you know, he was at Traveler's Tales making Lego games, doing really well, and they all had very safe, secure jobs in big corporate America. And I said, hey, you want to come and do something a bit more risky, but potentially more fun? And, you know, they said, well, there's only so many years you can make Lego games. And they were lucky enough to get him aboard. So, you know, we worked really hard to get the Arena Commander out that year, which was a combination between the UK team coming on board and the US teams working on it. And by the end of, 2014, we had 161 people. So that's a pretty, from 48 to 161 is pretty big. And we got 1.0 out by December of that year, which had a whole bunch of ships. And the, like I said, the dogfight model was out in the middle of June. And we started to do the first performance capture for Foundry 42 in April of 2015. Let's see if this will advance now. Oops, hang on. Well, that's the TV screen. It's not advancing for some. What's going on? Here we go. All right, they've advanced it. I think they're advancing it up in the booth, and I'm not advancing it. I don't know why the advance key's not working, but the switch the screen key works for some reason. So anyway, and then in 2015, besides shooting Squadron 42, we got the Frankfurt office, and they've made massive contributions. You are actually going to see a lot of some of the core work they've done. We've got an incredibly talented team there. We have Brian Chambers representing from Frankfurt here. So if you see him with his kind of rocker hair hanging out, he's as cool in person as he looks. We got 2.0 out at the end of last year, which was a huge milestone because that had the 64-bit large world, multi-cruise ships, and a lot of the beginnings of the core tech that's going to power Star Citizen. The end of last year, we had 258 people, again, because of you guys. And interesting enough, Manchester, so our Foundry 42 officers become the biggest and still ends up being. Then of June of this year, we got 2.4 out, which is the first iteration of Star Citizen Alpha that has some level of persistence, and that is just going to increase as we go on. So, your character will keep and keep his items and eventually sort of get wear and tear and grow old and all the rest of the stuff, so that'll be very cool. And we launched 2.5, which had sort of an extra sort of spawning area, Grim Hex, which I hear a lot of people camp out and shoot people when they try to get out of it at the moment in August. So, you got Outlaw and good guys. All right, let me try to see if this is going to move. Eric, can you advance that? Please. Help me. Save me. There you go. So today we have 363 people, which is an amazing amount. I know. So those are the numbers split between the places. This is all because of you. We are entirely crowdfunded, and it's your guys' enthusiasm and support, and everyone out there that's watching this, and everyone that's backed the game, that are enabling us to basically build this game of definitely my dreams. I think most of the developers working on it, and I'm pretty confident your guys' dreams, in a way that we're unfettered and we're trying to just go for it. I mean, to quote Shia LaBeouf, which I'm, just do it! Anyway, sorry, I saw that video recently when we were getting our CitizenCon stuff and thought it was quite amusing. Yeah. I won't do the rest of this stuff where you get kind of a bit crazy and look around, but anyway. But that's because of you guys, and I think that I said that when I started this. The community is the core of what makes Star Citizen go. It's what makes us special. It's in the DNA from the very, very beginning of the project. You saw in the video, Dave Haddock, who's been with us from the very beginning. Before we even announced Star Citizen and Squadron 42, we started with a website which was basically, hey, if you love space games, you love PC games, at that time, no one was paying any attention to that. No one cared about it. Now, obviously, if you take a look, everyone's doing it. It's trendy now. You're a AAA game. They're doing a Call of Duty that's set in space. So, it's like we've become mainstream. But back then, there wasn't. And we said, it was basically just, I miss this kind of game. I love it. That's the game I used to make. And I sort of felt like, well, that was the whole impetus of Star Citizen. And we started with saying, well, it's about the people. And I look back on it, and I looked at what I saw with WC News and the fact that there was still a community that was passionate about Wing Commander long, long, long after the last real Wing Commander game had sort of come out. I mean, it's sort of a dormant property sitting at EA, and I was like, you know, I love this stuff. I think other people love this stuff. And we started with a site, and you know, we had 30,000 people sign up before we had even announced Star Citizen, and you know, 10,000 on the first day, which was amazing. But the key was that the DNA of the project started with the community, and from day one, we've always tried to do that. And I think if you look at where we are and what we're able to do, I think that is 100% due to the community. And so one of the segue for that would be here. Oh, that's finally suddenly one, unless Eric's really good at hitting a button when I hit a button. You guys have always been in the community, right? You make what makes it special. And it's a very different way, I think, to make games. And we've always focused on creating tools to do that. So, you know, like even where we couldn't have friends or you getting together necessarily in the game, we created organizations for the website and ways that people can be discussing on forums and chatting and all the rest of stuff. And it's important to us to have the ability for you to not only interact in the game, but also interact outside the game and create connections. And I think you could see from the video, and I know you guys all have stories. I mean, I'm amazed. I see everyone with their organization. Everyone's got their own organization custom shirt, and you know, and they get their own get-togethers, and you know, there's deep lore and history behind a lot of stuff. And I mean, I'm just blown away by it, and I think it's fantastic, and I think it's really key. So for us, it's very important to put the tools in the hands for you guys. So, Eric, I'm pressing a button. Make me look good. No, that's not the right one. All right, back. All right, okay. So I guess there's in the. I thought I had one more card here, but I don't. You can tell that the PowerPoint crashed. That's why we were a bit late here. We were trying to get this done, and I didn't get to do a proper run through. So I'm going to hand you over, because you know, I think I had a lot of questions, say at Gamescom, about what's happening with Organizations 2.0, and there's a lot of different stuff. So we've actually thought about it long and hard, and we sort of decided that even though we'd said we were going to do this thing in typical Star Citizen fashion, we need to do this thing. And we want to make sure that we give you guys tools in such a way that you'll be able to interact and communicate in-game, out-of-game, in a sort of fluid way that is very indicative of today's modern internet age. So I'm going to hand you over to John Erskine, who's our VP of Online Operations and Publishing, and Benoit, who is the Chief Technical Officer of Turbulent, who you know, are amazing. They build our web platform. They're up nominated for an award for the Adobe Cutting Edge Award, and you guys should all vote for them. But I'm going to hand you over to them, and they're going to tell you about what we have in the works for you guys on the community front. Here we go.
Thank you. Well, hey, it's really a thrill to be here with you today. It's exciting to be at another CitizenCon event. We're going to switch over to some other slides here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing on the platform side. I'm going to continue with the theme that we've begun here today to talk about engagement and sharing. If we look at the vision that we have on our platform, as Chris mentioned, this is something that's been core to the concept of Star Citizen even before the project was formally announced. We want to share this experience with you, and we want to share content to you, and we want to get feedback from you. And so this idea of connecting with our community and then allowing communities to connect with each other is literally the core of Star Citizen. And I have to tell you personally, it's really amazing to work with someone like Chris who understands this in the core of his DNA, because I have worked at other companies where you'd have to pitch these kinds of ideas to somebody who might be kind of skeptical, really. With Chris, a lot of times it's the other way around. We may sort of come with some ideas and he'll say, well, guys, I don't think you're thinking big enough here. So I'm going to share an example of that with you today. Our goal from the platform is to be able for you to experience the game. You need to be able to do basic things like get the game and buy the game and download the game and patch the game. But we also want you to be able to connect with other people, both inside the game itself, but also in the real world. Because as we look at how technology has moved today, there's less of a distinction between the virtual world and the real world, and every day those walls are coming down further and further. So that's really a core vision that we have on the platform. So we've had the opportunity already to build some really cool and revolutionary tools on our platform, and we've shared them with the community of Star Citizen. We have some traditional things like forums. You know, forums have been around for a long time. We've been able to build some things that we believe advance traditional things, like, you know, most online games have some sort of guild and grouping system, and we have our organization system. I think it's unique that we released the organization system so early in the development process, and people were able to create organizations almost 3 years ago, I believe, maybe 2.5 years ago. And I have some stats on the next slide, but we have an amazing number of people and an amazing number of organizations already. We've been able to build things like the community hub, so it's easy to share content on our site. We've been able to do things in the game, like having the rental system and being able to use your UEC to do things in the game. And we've been able to do some things that are really unique, like the issue council, where people are able to actually actively participate in the process of reporting bugs and verifying bugs and prioritizing bugs and doing all that. And I know from talking with other developers, they're very jealous of the system because, first of all, they don't have the technical piece, and second, most people don't have fans who care enough to actually be that involved. So I think that's a very revolutionary tool that we've already built. So thank you for your involvement there. We had some stats in the video, but I'll come back to a couple of these to talk about engagement. You know, on our forums today, which are pretty traditional forums, we've had almost 500,000 unique threads. We've had 7 million people actually write a comment to those threads, and 300 million views of those threads. Those are incredible numbers. It's a huge community, and it's a huge amount of engagement. And in the organization system, as you can see, we have more than 40,000, or almost more than 40,000 organizations today, which is staggering. And almost 200,000 unique people are members of organizations, and many people are members of more than one organization. So it's very, very interesting, and it's a very, very, very powerful message that people are incredibly engaged in the tools that we've built. So, you know, last year at CitizenCon, we announced and launched the star map, which was, yeah, super cool. And like I said, that was a good example of how we sort of gave people an opportunity to vote on things that they thought were the biggest priority. And we had some ideas about what we wanted to build. And star map wasn't necessarily at the top of our list, but it was at the top of your list. And so we changed some of our priorities around, and we came up with a plan, and then we found out that we weren't thinking big enough. So we made something that's very, very revolutionary to be able to have such an amazing tool on the web to explore the game universe in such visual fidelity. And so after we launched the star map, Benoit and I started looking more at our roadmap and our priorities to decide what we should do next. And we had some ideas about an evolutionary advancement to some of the systems that we have today. And in January, we presented some of our plans to Chris. We really liked the plans. And we talked about it more with Chris, and he said, well, I don't think you're thinking nearly big enough. And so we went away, and we sort of digested this feedback, and Benoit and I started to think, well, with this much blank canvas, what would we do? And so I'm thrilled to turn it over to Benoit today and he's going to tell you what we've been working on since the second pitch to Chris.
Hello. This is the second time Chris does this to me, and I need to come in front of you guys to show you what we're working on. I'm pretty excited to be able to show you what we came up with based on the "you're not thinking big enough" statement. And so when we presented Orgs 2.1 to Chris, which was basically a new forum system for your guild, we quickly saw that the feature set that we needed to be way bigger than just a traditional forum engine. Also, we didn't want to just build a forum engine for the sake of it, which is, it's still a pretty old medium. So we wanted to basically start reinventing that. You can switch. And so we came up with Spectrum. The name was coined just as naturally as that because we felt that it represented that it was already in the lore, and so it was the perfect way to sort of name this tool. And so what Spectrum is a real-time web application that offers all community communications in Star Citizen. So that's the high level. Now, to present it, I need to deepen into it. Now, this is the result of almost a year of work and labor of love from the Turbulent team, who has been iterating and iterating on that, looking at what's already there. And this is what we came up with. And so it's modeled after contemporary communication platforms. I'm sure you guys use many of those. And so we did not start to reinvent things from the ground up. We really took something and tried to make it as usable as possible based on what existed. We used modern technologies to build it. That means we did not go the classic route of building an application in a low-level language. We went with web technologies that can now be on the desktop, that can allow for rapid development, which was already a groundbreaking moment to be able to change the stack and go faster. And then when we pitched the idea, it came really quickly that this tool could become also solve a major problem in the game, which was how do we differentiate between in fiction and out of fiction? We want to bring you guys, like your friends at work, you want to be able to talk to him. How do we differentiate between that and somebody who's actually in the game? And so Spectrum becomes the natural conduit for that. Now, focus on usability. It's the in-game UIs will always be focused on being diegetic and super sci-fi-ish. Now, in order to make the real-world stuff really works, then we need something that's more usable, material design, and it needs to focus on that first, and community. And that was the sticking point, is that since the beginning, the vision from Chris was always that you don't need to run your guild off-site. You don't need to run your organization off-site and use off-site tool. We can offer all of these tools in the platform, and so you can just hit the ground running. And so we want you to be able to have your home in the Spectrum as your organization and be able to customize it. And so the first part of the module is, of course, chat. And so if we're going to hit chat running, we're not going to build a standard chat like we did a few years ago for the live chat module. We need a rich chat. We need an application that's real time. We need a chat where you can embed medias from external sites or from RSI sources. We need you to be able to react to comments and words that are being written by your friends or by your coworkers or anybody you're playing a game with. And so just on the chat level, we really wanted to get something that was modern and usable. Now, in terms of forum engine, we needed forums. We knew we needed that. We didn't want to abandon this medium, which was so crucial to building this community. And so, but we wanted to modernize it. And so, in the same application, we're going to bring you guys some brand new forums. Now, what you're looking at now, and I'll show you a bit later, is the light team. And this is part of why we wanted to focus on usability first, because if we make everything dark, it's really difficult to use, and it gets a strain on people using it. So there is an option to keep it light, and that's what I'm showing here. And so the forum engine is also real-time. When new threads come up, you're going to see notifications come in. It's a brand modern take on this, on how forums can be rapid and fast, and not the old-school model that we've had. Now, to go further than that, We need more types of discussions in forum. We need to be able to have Q&As. We need to be able to have live threads on live topics that are happening now. And of course, classic threads, which will just, stay there forever. And so what is Spectrum? Well, first, it's private messaging and chat and forums. And so we needed to solve private messaging because I'm sure you guys have used the private messaging on the forums currently. Everybody's pretty much in agreement there. We need a private messaging solution. And so Spectrum implements that. We needed presence. And so to be able to tell online if your friends are in the game or even just in Spectrum, so we needed to be able to have presence displayed on there. Notifications and alert. So if you're watching a thread, you wrote a thread, somebody mentions, you need to be able to know about that. That encourages this flow of information across the board, and so notifications were core to that. Of course, all of these features, they're awesome, but they need to be sandboxed. And so for each of your orgs in Spectrum, you will have access to all those features. And so as you build up your organization, you'll have access directly to features to build your own chat lobbies, your own forums, your own notifications based on that. And so you'll be able to switch context, create a group with your friends, access it in there, create a lobby, and boom, you're done, hit the ground running. And so what is Spectrum? Well, it's all of these things. It's real-time, it's modern chat, modern forums, it's private group messaging, online presence, notifications and alerts, and namespaces. And this is the core of what this new app is. It's also voice, because we need to have voice transmission. And so you can advance more. And so on the voice part, we needed to be able to carry voice outside of the game, because as everybody knows and you have experience playing games, you want voice to be carried by an external program and not by the game client, because when the game client has an issue, well, you need to be able to talk to your friends and say, I'm rebooting the game. And so Spectrum is going to be your lifeline for that. But of course, Chris wasn't going to settle with that. We can't have non-spatialized voice in Star Citizen, and so Spectrum will be able to send voice datagrams to the game and have it be spatialized and treated inside the game for additional treatment and immersion. And so that's going to be the ultimate goal. And so when you put all these pieces together, you get an interface that looks a bit like this. You've got your top-notch sidebar, party system, voice channels, voice chat, and notifications all into one. And so this is what the dark team looks like. We can switch to the light team in a pinch. And so you'll be able to swap back and forth whenever you want. And so that's the baseline of the interface. You can see that we've kept it really, we use modern stuff, and that shows through the technology we're using. Now, of course, this needs to go everywhere. So it's a web app, it's a desktop application, and like Chris likes to say, Spectrum is the launcher. And it's also going to be available on mobile and tablets, because you need to be able to keep up with your friends when they're in the game and you're at work. Now, in terms of game integration, this platform is similar to other platforms that exist. The advantage that we have is that we can go deeper with game integration. Spatialized voice is one example, but there's more examples to that. Friends and contact will be standardized in Spectrum, so you can manipulate them from there. We can have rich game presence. That means you're not just online, you're on Port Olisar. That's a big difference. So you'll be able to see statuses from the game straight in the Spectrum UI. Party management is where we ultimately want to be able to get, so that during the day you're planning out a game session, you create your party inside the Spectrum, get your friends in, you've got your chat lobbies, your voice lobbies already set up for your party. When you get to your house at night to play, you just, boom, join the party, it's already created and it's ready to go. And so, location-aware lobbies will allow us to basically have voice lobbies and chat lobbies that are based on in-game locations. So just by being in a location, we'll create this dynamic lobby and you'll be able to use it. You can see Spectrum as the real-world arm to the universe that Chris is building. And so when game events occur and you need to be notified on your mobile or whatever, Spectrum will be the transmission for those, and so you'll be able to receive them this way. There's going to be also, Spectrum will be available inside an overlay on the game, so you'll be able to see who's talking, voice, change your voice channels, open the full Spectrum UI, and chat with your friends directly from the game. And so it really becomes the in and out universe communication bridge for the game. And so now this was cool. I showed you some screens, talked a bit about it, but I'd like to show you where we're at. We're not ready to ship just yet, but I can demo the interface that we have on our development environment that we call Future, because we're hipsters like that. And you'll see that it's all generated with text from Alice in Wonderland, because it's our test generator, generates forum threads and channels and all that stuff. But I can just show you a bit where we are and where we're going to be there in a few weeks, I hope. One, two. Okay. So this, what I'm showing off here is just a live super dev interface for Spectrum. And so right now I'm logged in as me. I've got access to chat lobbies. Now hopefully the internet is still up on this Mac and I can still reach it. Yes. All right. And so this is live chat. Now I only have the light theme on this version, but for every chat lobbies that I can visit, I can bookmark them directly in the left bar. The left bar will be the way you can track all types of content, whether it's a lobby, whether it's a thread. So in this case, I'm looking at a chat lobby. I can have rich embeds in it. I can have different user interfaces. I can send private messages straight from this interface directly. I can react. Now, you can imagine that right now we only have these default icons, but we're going to have some cool icons coming up. And obviously, as part of the customization that we plan, you guys will be able to upload your own sheets of emojis and emoticons and change your own upvote icons to customize. And so I can, from this lobby, this is pretty cool, I can jump to my Planet Express org, and then there you go, I'm inside it. But the key here is that the left sidebar allows me to balance between RSI community items, like the recruitment chat, for example, or the general forums of my org. And so I just need to bookmark them on the left, and that's it. I get access to them. Now, going down to these threads, I can just jump to any thread, really. And then this is the forum engine. It's a lot more modern. It's way faster, too, because it's real time. So when new reply comes up, I get a notifications for it. I can upvote. I can react on any of those. But also, what's pretty cool is that we've flattened the list into a single list, so there's no more paging going from page to page. Just scroll down the list. And one thing that's pretty cool is if we look at Leanne Jacoby here, who's answered Mr. Carey, I can mouse over it and I see his reply. And then, oh, what did he say? I can click on it and just jump straight to it and navigate inside the thread dynamically this way, giving us a lot more control. In terms of editing features, when you reply or comment on any of those replies, like I can just jump here. This is a bar that's directly within. I can keep on browsing while I'm editing. The editing feature is based on blocks, and so I can add different blocks, move them around, and compose my own. And so this is pretty cool because it's not just text and markdown, funky markdown. I can actually insert the blocks and move them and publish. And of course, when I do publish, if I was watching the thread, then I will get, oops, sorry about that, I will get a notifications for it directly. And so the notification panel becomes my follow button, and so I can just follow that. I can also bookmark a thread, and so then it shows up in my left bar. So you can imagine, big Katamari going out, and I want to follow that. I just put notifications on, bookmark it, and then it'll actually show up on the left and light up when new replies are coming in. Private messaging, of course, I was chatting with John earlier, so it was right here. I can actually check this out, and then I'm right in there, get my notifications for my private messaging and settings. And so this is the state of Spectrum right now. This is where we're going. We're a few weeks out from this first release, which will already allow you to create chat lobbies and forums and full control over that. And then if I can jump back to the presentation, right over here, here's what we're thinking about. Okay, so this soon trademark in this case is pretty close. We're thinking before the end of the year, we want to have this first release out because we want this in your hands so you can tell us what you like or dislike about it. And that's typical Star Citizen. We need your feedback to be able to compile what we like about the interface that we thought for you guys and the other one, and if it's good or not. So in this software release, so it's browser only, but it's going to have forums and chat, notifications, private messaging, and friends. One thing that I did not show, but I can just jump back, is search. So search is one thing that we wanted to have directly embedded in it, and so all your communities will be searchable right away. And so you'll be able to jump to threads or chats that have been logged. That's one thing I want to say to moderators, community moderators that are looking at me right now going like, ah! It's all logged and searchable. Public channels are. All the org stuff is yours. And so in the next update after that is we want to hook it up directly with the game presence so you can already see when your friends are playing the game. And that will create the first bridge with the game so that everything is connected. And the customization options I named, like being able to add your custom emojis, your custom upvote buttons, that will be in that second release. And then after that, we're moving to a 6 to 8 week cycle for all of the remaining functions. So launcher, in-game overlay, voice support, and mobile. And so we're going to be working on Spectrum quite a bit. And this is only the beginning because, as you can see, you can already imagine how we can bring down the organization system management in it or add more features to it. And so this is going to become a really important tool that you'll have. Since you'll have the installer and you'll have the launcher, you'll have Spectrum installed. And so that's it. That's what I want to show you guys.
Not going on stage again.
One year ago, our lives were shattered. But we have not forgotten. United in the face of the Vandal threat, we have dedicated ourselves to creating the universe we have always wanted. A safe and secure UEE for all. Thanks to your continued support in the sale of war bonds, the UEE is proud to announce the Militia Mobilization Initiative, authorizing the sale of certain military-grade ships to ensure that civilian militias are properly equipped to defend the Empire in times of need. We will ensure a brighter future for our children. At the forefront of that effort is RSI's newest ship, the Polaris. Combining devastating firepower and searing speed, the Polaris-class Corvette is effective against a wide variety of aggressors and scenarios. From delivering humanitarian aid to tactical operations, the Polaris's ability will make it an essential part of any fleet for years to come. But the Polaris is only the tip of the spear for this grand initiative. A full line of other ships are now available for a limited time. And to support faster mobilization and operational effectiveness, Fleet formations are being offered in discounted pre-designed ship teams. So stand in solidarity with the brave men and women who put their lives on the line and join them in protecting the dream that is the UEE. Answer the call today.
All right. So anyway, you probably already know because it's been on Reddit. We sort of released the RSI Polaris Corvette, and I think yesterday was the best day we ever had in Star Citizen. And I mean, the one thing I do want to say though, because I know this sort of sometimes there's a bit of debate and controversy, no one needs to get a big fancy spaceship or anything else. If you spend $40 or $45 and do it, that's all you need. But the way I look at it is, getting a Corvette or whatever, a Constellation, is really just supporting development. I mean, that's kind of the way it looks like. And so for me, it should only be if someone's saying, you know what, I really like what these guys are doing. I want to support it. I love the process, and I'm there, and they're giving me a cool ship in the process. That's the way it should be, nothing more, nothing less, because you will absolutely be able to earn everything in-game playing, right? Just saying. But it is a cool ship, anyway, just letting you know. And you go. So we'll get off that, but thank you for everyone that's bought a Corvette, because it's what makes us go, it's what allows us to build the things that we're doing. And thank you to anyone that supported it, whether you've gotten a tiny little thing or a really big thing. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to click. There we go. Oh, look at that. So we're going to I'm going to go through a bit boring update stuff now, and then we're going to show you some cool stuff. So first, Squadron 42, sort of tell you kind of where we're at on it. Squadron 42, like other things, like we just showed you Spectrum. And by the way, the one thing, just to segue back to where we were on that Benoit and John didn't mention is that the goal when we deliver Spectrum for the first time is also delivering the next generation launcher, which has the new patcher, which will not be downloading gigs of data all the time whenever we do a small test. Which I think would help people out. I mean, if you got fast internet, maybe it's not such a big deal, but with data caps and all the rest of stuff, and it's also frustrating even for us when we're patching it on the dev side. It's like you change one file and suddenly there's at least 2 gigabytes. So the new system's really it's exponentially better. It will only be bringing down things that change. So we're working hard to deliver the Spectrum and the new patcher for you before the end of the year. So I'm not going to give you any specific dates because I get shot when I do that. But our platform team is much more reliable than me. I'm an optimist. You have to be an optimist in this business. So anyway, speaking of optimistic, Squadron 42, it's significantly grown from when it was first pitched in 2012. So to sort of get you where we're landing at, because we're content and sort of feature locked now, we have what we call chapters, which is chapters in the story. There's 28 of them in Squadron 42, Episode 1, which is equivalent to probably about 60 plus missions. Most of our chapters are multi-part, so if you compare it to a Wing Commander mission, they're usually 2 to 3 missions in length. So there's flying around, down on foot, or talking to people, all sorts of stuff. Obviously it has an A-list cast that you all know about. There's a few people we haven't told you about that will be a surprise that we will unveil later on, because we have some other people that are part of it, which is pretty cool. We have 340 speaking roles in it, which is insane because most movies have maybe 30 or 40 speaking roles. And state-of-the-art facial scanning and mocap. We showed a little bit. I had a 10 for the chairman when we talked a bit about that, and we're really making great strides on that. And the goal is to be as good or better than anything else you've seen out there. Of over 20 hours of performance capture, which is not a small amount, and it gives you an idea of the play amount you're going to get when you've got that much of sort of people talking to you as well as action stuff. Dave and Will, who are, I think, here in this. Where are you, Dave and Will? Hands up. Over there. Okay. Incredibly talented. Wrote 1,255 pages and have been steadfastly there with me last year and this year shooting. And I have to say, they're absolute rock stars. I mean, we were. I think we only just finished writing all the stuff for Squadron 42 earlier this year when we were doing the final shoot, which we did earlier this year. But it's, I think, a really fantastic story, so I can't wait for you guys to actually experience it and play it. We have 40 distinct ships from fighters to dreadnoughts. There's a lot that you guys, I mean, there's Van Dole stuff and some other stuff that's in there. You've seen some of the stuff. You haven't seen some of the other stuff. We have some really beautiful handcrafted environments built by the environment team that we have, enhanced with some of the new procedural tech. So one of the things we've been doing is some of the new developments we've been doing on the Star Citizen front, we've been bringing back into Squadron 42 to expand the gameplay. I'm sorry, we just want to make the best game we can, and if we got stuff there, we're going to use it. So I shouldn't really apologize for that. Just do it! We're really working for like systemic space and FPS gameplay. So it's not. So the idea is you do not just go one play path. It's not one scripted play path. You can approach different missions different ways. So do you want to go the back door, stealth it? Do you want to go kick the front door down and guns blazing? So we're building that, and the systems are all built systemically, and it is some of the same systems that we're going to be doing in the Star Citizen. We're always going to have dogfighting in space, but now we're going to have dogfighting in planetary atmosphere, which is kind of a big deal. We have the new tech, which we're going to be showing you a little later on here. And we have subsumption, which is fully systemic AI, sort of the next generation stuff. Created by the genius mind of Tony Zurvek, wherever he is. I don't know, he's hiding out somewhere here. The big AI team behind it, led by Francesco Riccucci and his guys that are implementing most of it, and the designers that are doing it. But it's going to allow for, being, say, on whatever ship you're serving on, say the Idris or a Bengal, and the crew's going about their day, having schedules, doing lots of different things, fixing things. It's going to be very cool. All right. I will demonstrate clicking. There you go. See, I'm just pretending to click, and they actually do it back there. So as an update, most of our technology is now done. We have some key things still left. So subsumption is still the major one that we're doing, just because it's this whole new thing that we're doing, and we need to continue to work on the pathfinding, because it's not just pathfinding like you would in traditionally game. We have these different moving ships. So like, for instance, the Idris is moving around in space while people are moving around inside it, which is a challenge that you don't normally get in most games. And that has to work. Animation integration. So we spent all this time capturing these actors at a huge amount of fidelity, and we want to make sure that the fluidity of the animation going between actions and everything doesn't feel sort of like the typical AI, which is like this, and then it then does that, right? So that definitely takes time. Improved combat logic in terms of the AI sort of working together and stuff. Integrating sort of, we had sort of an older mission system, which was more traditional, the old CryEngine Crisis way, but since we've gone more systemic and we've got subsumption, we're building another layer on top of subsumption to be able to do an extra level of systemic sort of missions, which you'll see in Squadron 42, but then that's actually the engine that powers what we're doing in Star Citizen that's even more flexible, and enhanced flight AI to sort of make them fly together as wingmen better, which is kind of sort of a bit about the improved combat logic. So those are all sort of things we're working on. So AI is a big thing that we really want to push to make the experience good. Object container streaming, I talked about object containers back in Gamescom. It's sort of how we can travel around these big star systems and bring in like really dense areas of information, objects, and then get them out. Because we can't, even if you've got a machine with a lot of memory, you can't keep it all in. You can't keep the video memory all in, so you've got to stream it in and out. And so that's the sort of technical challenge, and then we want to do some CPU and GPU optimizations. Click forward, please. There you go. So right now where we're at in Squadron 42 is all the chapters and gameplay features are at gray box are better. So gray box is when we've had everything blocked out, all the actions done. We've sort of balanced it for what we think will be fun or not, but it doesn't have sort of the final assets, the final polish, and things like the AI that I was talking about. We are currently taking one of the chapters of the story all the way to what we would consider final shipping quality. The idea would be to flush out all the technical integration and polish issues you would get with that. And that was actually, I gave an interview, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, probably spoke too soon, and it's saying, we're hoping to show you a Squadron 42 mission, and we're not quite there yet. So we got very close. The team worked really hard, but we don't want to show it until we say, this is what it's going to be like in the final game with all the polish. And for our standpoint, we don't want to show something too early on Squadron 42. We want to show the final stuff. So I know that's a bit of a bummer, but it's important because I think Squadron 42 itself is going to be a fantastic experience. But there is, work in progress, Star Citizen, yes. I think work in progress on Squadron 42 I don't really want to do because I am accused of being a bit of a perfectionist, but it does need to be a great experience. And well, I'm hopefully gonna show you something that will make you forget what I just said. So we'll see. Maybe not, but then you can just buy me lots. You can buy me lots of drinks afterwards, or I'll drink lots of alcohol or do something. But one of the keys is that and I think Aaron said it in the video, and I feel that way. Is we want to do it right. It's really important to do it right. What we're enabled to do by you guys is to do it right. Because if we were in a typical situation with a publisher, they would say, well, no, you've got to make the Christmas window, get it out, and da-da-da, and then you can patch it with you can do some patches, and then the DLC, and don't worry about that people won't think it's quite as polished or whatever, and it's got a bunch of bugs. And no, that's I don't think anyone, because everybody's, this is what you guys, it's what I want. I've spent all this time. You guys have obviously spent a vast amount of time supporting and being there, and let's make it right. Like, why spend? Yeah, because you remember. I mean, look, I got to tell you, I was, there's quite a lot of things that I was looking forward to Uncharted 4, and they're like, oh no, it's gonna be February, and I was like, oh damn it. And then I played it, and I didn't give a shit that I was playing in whatever it was, March instead of back in November, because it was a fucking great game. And so, sorry, pardon my French. So that's really important for us. So that's my long-winded way of saying that as much as we wanted to have Squadron 42 for this year, is not going to be this year, because from the polish we need to do, it still needs a bit more time. But we will be showing you this final, this mission polish level in the near future. So, and I'm hoping that will be before the end of this year, but I'm not going to promise that because I get shot by people when I say that. Okay, so that's Squadron 42. Let me move on. Bam, here we go. So 2.6 is the next thing we're doing, which has Star Marine, which is obviously a big thing, and Arena Commander updating. There's some of these things that we'll be talking about in the future sides. We have new features for Star Marine. We're doing stuff for Arena Commander. We're adding more stuff for the Crusader map. We're refactoring the lobby and the leaderboards, which we talked about on a recent ATV episode. And also we also talked about the flight model, which we're also doing. And right now, the avocatai, I know we say it bad or wrong. What do we say? Avocados? Should I just say avocados? All right. There you go. Avocados they have a version of it built on the 2.5 release, giving some feedback, and we're listening to that, and that's kind of what the power and the beauty of this community is to do. So it's going to have the new music logic system in, which is actually pretty cool because it's a dynamic music system that's back in the old days of Wing Commander, we had a very more rudimentary version of that. And I think music creates a fair amount of emotion and gets you into the immersion and the mode and the action that you're doing. And so I think that's actually going to be a very subtle thing that will make things better. We have a sort of new camera. We've been working on the camera system for 2.6. I think that's important. I mean, I keep watching all the videos you guys do, and I'm like, okay, let's give them better tools, and because you guys make awesome videos. I mean, a lot of times we're looking at videos where we're developing going, wow, that looks awesome. Did you see this? Did you see what they did? That's great. So we're going to have that in there. And one big thing what we're working on is to stop the chain loading of screens. So like you play a Arena Commander or a Star Marine game, you go back to a loading screen, do the lobby, and load again. So the idea is we won't do that. We're just going to go in there, and then there's no loading back and forth levels or anything. It's all just going to stay. You're going to go in once and there. So hopefully you'll be able to have more frequent games. So the focus for 2.6 for Arena Commander and Star Marine is to make it a really kind of fun, easy way to get in and just fly around in space and dogfight, or run around on the ground and get into sort of FPS combat, and make that sort of as polished as possible. So here we go. Boom. So Arena Commander. Did I miss Star Marine? Hang on a sec. Let's see. Nope. There we go. So we're going to have this new virtual ship. We showed it on the ATV. So instead of like having to go to the hangar to set your ship up, in the lobby screen you can click on your ship and you can do your loadout and equip your rec items, which will make things much better and faster. We're gonna have a new pirate swarm mode in addition to the Vandal swarm. Missiles will be persistent, so you can't just like, oh, I fire all my missiles and I crash into an asteroid to respawn with more missiles, which I think, I'm not saying everyone does it, but there's a few people that do that. We'll have sort of reloads and stuff that will help in the kind of gameplay, just to sort of make it a fun, fine combat experience. We'll have a scoring rebalance. And I think pretty much most of the ships you can fly normally in Crusader, you'll be able to fly in private matches. All right, here we go. On to the next. There we go. I swear. It's like, there we go. All right, Star Marine. There's going to be two maps you'll fight on. There'll be Station Damien, which is a smaller space station. It'll be a 4x4 map. And then there's going to be sort of a bigger sort of asteroid base, which is a 12v12, which we call Echo 11. There'll be 2 game modes. There'll be deathmatch and control, so control of areas, so you fight for control as teams. We have new armor, weapons, grenades, tactical visor, friendly player ID, which helps sometimes you want to shoot your friends instead of your eyes. You'll be able to loot, so like you shoot someone, you can take weapons from them or ammunition from them. And we'll have achievements and ribbons. So it'll be both Arena Commander and Star Marine are having a lot of focus to sort of make the experience of just straight up sort of arena shooting, whether it's in space or on foot, sort of fun, quick, easy to get into, much better than what we've had to date. And I think that's kind of important so people can sort of have fun and play while we're working on this bigger epic. There we go. And so I'm just going to walk you through, before we get to the fun stuff, kind of our roadmap. Obviously, we talked about 3.0 back in Gamescom, which is sort of the first kind of, you would consider, yeah, that's, I wouldn't say it's what Star Citizen, the final game, is going to be, but a lot of games, if they had those features, they would be very happy, which is, going to have trading, cargo, piracy, smuggling, mercenary, bounty hunter, which we talked about. We're going to try to, get the Stanton system in there fleshed out. It's going to be using the Planet V2 technology, which I am going to show you very shortly after I've gone through these slides, which I think you guys are going to like. And in 3.0 we'll have we'll have things like the Rover and the Dragonfly, who you saw a little bit of at Gamescom, Caterpillar, the Aquila, which you may or may not see here in a bit. Okay, so, and I want to give you a bit of roadmap after 3.0, so you know what we're doing. I guess there's a lot of miners here, or refiners. So 3.1, and just also, by the way, in case you haven't noticed it, I know last year we said, well, we're going to do a release, we're going to try to do a release every month. After going through this year, we've sort of realized that that's a very hard cadence to do, because by the time you get new content in and you start testing it and get feedback, it's almost impossible to get a significant amount of content to test and do the feedback. So I would say that our cadence on releases, which is what you've seen in the last few releases, is probably going to be something like 2 to 3 months between releases. So just to give expectations, because I don't want to go through 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4, and everyone goes, okay, we're going to get that in 4 months. Because again, we'll get shot by everyone on the development side. But anyway, so 3.1 is going to have mining, we're going to have refining and processing, we're going to have quantum interdiction, which means you'll be able to wait and pull people out of quantum travel, whether it's AI or you're doing it yourself, refueling, escort. We're gonna add additional locations to Stanton, and we're gonna have the new Drake ships. Well, we already have the red and blue, but in the new way we do ships. The Miss Cull Sea for trading, the Prospector for mining, and the Origin 85X, which was this kind of cool cruiser that was with the 890 jump. And if you already have an 890 jump, of course you will get that already. The next one up would be 3.2 with repair and salvage. So we'll be able to salvage and repair. So dive a bit deeper in mercenary, because we have some mercenary stuff that will be in 3.0, and we'll be sort of fleshing all these out. Again, adding more locations in Stanton and fleshing it out further. Finishing out the RSI ships in the new way, the Terrapin, and then the variants of the Vanguard and the Reclaimer, which is a beautiful ship. And I know it's one of Nate's favorite ships, so if you know Nathan Disley likes the ship, it's going to be awesome. 3.3, here's the one. Who knew farming was so popular? So what we're going to aim for 3.3 is farming, sort of the rescue side. Yeah. And then you can hit Tony up about all this here, because yet more fleshing out what we're doing in Stanton, and the Anvil Carrack, which I think that's the 890 jump, right? And the Merchantman. So there you go. And by the way, so once the Squadron 42, the Foundry 42 team working on the Squadron 42 ships, they're going up, they're actually all rolling. So the way we're going to do it is that our biggest vehicle team is in Foundry 42, and right now most of them are working on the Squadron 42 ships, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of Vandal ships, a lot of UE big ships like the Bengal, the Idris, the Javelin. So they're all going to roll off onto sort of the big new ships, which are Carrack, Jump, Merchantman, the Hull Sea we had before. And the U.S. vehicle teams are going to be focusing on sort of the more, something like a Buccaneer or the F-8 or something like that. So anyway, and so that's what we're going to have with 3.3. There we go. And then finally, 4.0. So this is that'll be the first time we'll go beyond Stanton to other star systems. I'm not going to say how many star systems yet. Depends how much we'll be able to build with our content pipeline, which we'll show you a little bit up and coming here. But we're very focused on, have you seen some of the ATV, how to author star systems at the quality level that we like, with a sense of lore and art and character and history, but be able to do planets, because sometimes in FPS games, people spend forever, years just making a small 2x2 kilometer level, and obviously for us to build the system, the universe that we need to be a bit faster than that. But we will have 4.0 is when you will be able to jump to other star systems. Exploration and discovery will be sort of highlight there for obvious reasons. Science and research. And the RSI Orion and the Crucible will be two of the big ships that we will be doing there. So that's the roadmap for Star Citizen. So, and our goal is this is the roadmap going forward in over next year. Again, please don't hold me to dates, because everyone goes, "Why did you say that, Chris?" I'm like, oh. Anyway. It's always best laid plans of mice and men. Okay, so now we're going to get on to what we talked about. So it's demo time. So at Gamescom we showed you flying between locations, and that was our sort of V1 planetary tech. And I said that we have this V2 tech that you're not seeing. There's a whole another level beyond what we were showing you. And the goal really is to sort of deliver that crisis level quality down on the ground, walking around, driving around, but on a global scale, right? So like most of these games, you look at Battlefield, you look at any of the sort of typical FPS, so the Frostbite engine, what CryEngine does, I mean, they do beautiful stuff, but it's all limited to, 2 by 2 kilometers or 4 by 4 kilometers, or maybe if you're lucky, 16 by 16 kilometers. So for us, we want to have that level of quality, but on a planetary scale, and that is a big, big ask. The team in Frankfurt, who have mostly been leading this, are a lot of the guys that built CryEngine in the first place, and they are brilliant. And this has also been supported by a lot of the teams from the other studios, because a lot of our environment and the art and the content and the assets come from other places. But we are going to show you here, I'm going to show you a demo set in a planet. Now, we took a planet not necessarily that's in Stanton, because we wanted to have something that had more diverse ecosystems to sort of show you what the tech can do. And so this is the first time we're showing the tech publicly. Of course, like everything we do, it's going to get better and better. But it's a completely new terrain system. It seamlessly supports the sort of spherical terrain at planetary scale. So, most terrain systems are flat, whereas this, it's a planet, it's round, and you can go around every side, and the gravity and everything works. And the horizon line is the actual real horizon line. If you see something, you can walk to it. There is no cheating at all on it. It's all, I know, it's hard to believe it's not faked, I know. It's kind of like the moon landing, really. Anyway, but everything's everything's generated at runtime, because you can't have this amount of data in there, and it's amazing. And actually, when we show the demo, I think we've set up so you can sort of see the frame counter, because what the guys have done there, the game logic and the code and simulation slows everything down. Their actual engine generating the world is incredibly fast. So if you look at the top right, you'll sort of see when you're seeing the world, and you'll see it sort of drop. It's still going to be very fast, but you'll see the frame kind of drop when the game stuff starts happening, when you're moving around and stuff. I mentioned there's no view distance. It's artist-driven. So we and over here, I'm going to have Sean and Simon, who I'll introduce in a bit. We'll do a bit more of a deep dive after I've shown you this particular demo to talk a little about it, but longer term, the ATV episode for Frankfurt is going to really go into some of the tools that we use. They're awesome. Was that Brian saying Frankfurt? All right, just checking. That voice sounded familiar to me. But the key is that it's absolutely artist-driven. So we're using the procedural techniques, and we're using all this stuff to just basically author planets at a global scale very quickly, but to give it real sense and character, because there's quite a few other games using sort of procedural tech to do planets, and I have to say the technical achievements are all like really impressive and cool and all the rest of the stuff. But for me, I want to sort of be able to say, I want to build this, planet that looks like Hoth, and I want to build this planet that looks like Tatooine, right? I want to have the sense, and I want to be able to control it. And so the big key for the tech we were doing was to have it sort of artist-driven with the procedural technology enhancing what the artists do. And so that's what we're going to show here. The other aspect of it, because it's not just about procedural artist tools, we're also trying to think about how we're creating content for this universe so you can explore and adventure around. And it's not just the interactions with the other players, but we have a rich world that's sort of going on, and there's missions that you can sort of stumble across, or AI are doing things. And we showed at Gamescom sort of an example of coming across a space wreck. You have to retrieve a black box from a destroyed Starfarer. And what we're planning to do is have sort of a combination of sort of the simpler missions, which are mostly generated, like, oh, well, this location needs this kind of mineral, so they're creating a job for someone to bring it to them, or go and fight the pirates that are getting in the way of the trade lanes. And then there's the sort of more in-depth stuff, which we sort of showed with the Miles Eckhart mission in the Gamescom demo. And what we're showing here is sort of the version of that was more planetary focused, where we build different building blocks, and players could come across it and do it. To have a rich living world that they're going to adventure around. And so that's sort of the missions that sort of have these scripted blocks that sort of can procedurally sort of connect to each other and have maybe different situations or outcomes depending what's happening. And that's something that Todd Pappy, who's not here today, who's our design director, and Tony are very big on, and I think it's going to be really cool. So having said that, we are going to go to the demo. I don't think, let me see if there's a screen here or not. What's the next screen? Let's go down. Let's go down, and we will start the demo. This is all 100% live, in the engine, in real time. Let's go. In real time. Let's go. They missed it. Yeah. He actually says, hello, CitizenCon, but you guys are all laughing when you saw the guy. Here we are in our Constellation Aquila. Contrails. So we're heading towards the distress beacon. So the idea with this would be that, you know, you potentially could get a mission where you get a distress beacon and you're going to find out on, you know, in this particular case, this planet. So we're heading towards it.
Right, so I think this is telling us the atmospheric conditions are unsafe. And one of the key gameplay things we want to do because obviously the planetary tech is going to allow us to have a whole bunch of play areas we don't normally have, is to encourage players not to always, maybe you can't always fly there. Maybe you have to get out and use your rover, for instance, which you have in Aquila. So it's fine. Let's go find a landing zone that's on the edge of the desert plain. I'll look around, Vincent, so you're going where you just concentrate on flying. There's a little compression there. We've been working on that thing for the... I know it's a small thing, but I always want to have the landing gear compressed when you land. All right, so we're going to head out to do some exploring and the armor on. All right, let's get us let's be nice and tidy, close the locker up, and then grab our gun just in case there's some hostiles out there. But this is kind of an example, like for instance, you shouldn't be able to sort of sit in heavy armor flying a ship. Maybe you're in your flight suit and then you go and equip your armor or your EVA suit when you need to go outside and do stuff. And so you sort of want to make it quite immersive and have different reasons to be equipping and using different stuff. So if you notice, this is the actor that we had that was in People to Planet. He's actually in Squadron 42. He plays a character called Joachim Steiger. So let's go and see the distress beacons about almost 3 kilometers away over there. We get our little scope out. All right, so let's figure out how to get there since we can't fly. So handily, we've got the Constellation Killer, so we have a rover. So, if you saw the Constellation Killer commercial a while ago, we are now doing this in-game, in real time. Awesome. All right. Thanks. And unlike, all those mountains we see, if we have the time, we don't here, but I'm sure when you guys get on Park Planets V2, there'll be lots of videos where people walk all the way around the planet, or they go to the mountain they see in the distance, because that is not a skybox. That is actually the proper mountains and geometry that's all there, everywhere. And that's actually the liberating thing with this tech, is when you build a planet on a planetary scale at this level of detail, and of course you can see up close that it looks like what you see at Battlefield 1, for instance, in the desert, the sort of Lawrence Arabia stuff. But of course it's all at a global scale, the whole planet. And we have different ecosystems, obviously, we've flown through, so we flew over oceans, we flew over sort of grasslands or forest, or over through mountains, and now we're sort of at sort of the edge of a desert and approaching a desert. Looks like someone didn't heed the atmospheric unsafe flight warning. If we take a look back here, you can sort of see where we came from, about 2.5 kilometers back there. And so we're heading past this rock out, this sort of canyon walls to head to the distress beacon. Check out something else we had here, a little bit of breadcrumbs. Orpheus Horizon, Javelin class. Wonder where that came from. All right, let's carry on. See if there's anyone around. We'll head that way to get to the distress beacon. some of the music changing here is all part of the dynamic music logic system. So it'll start to calm down now that the combat's over. Right, so that's, well, we lost our rover, that's not so good. That's where the distress beacon's coming from. Was a trap. Alright, let's see what we got around here. Very conveniently, some sand nomad dragonflies. Had our shot moment. There we go. Right, we got one, we got another distress beacon we blinked to, so let's go look for that. And remember, we came all the way down from the planet, all the way down here, and we're down, driving around in this level of detail. So that's kind of a big testimony to what the Proc Planet V2 stuff does, and the tools has given the artists this looks amazing. One thing that's at a global scale. One more escape pod, which we linked to when we activated the other escape pods beacon. So Vince, by the way, Vince is our lead QA in Los Angeles. He's a much better pilot than me. So you should give him your appreciation. Otherwise, you'd have me crashing into things. And if you see up there, that's the space station. And if you look closer, you can actually see the rings slowly rotate. But that is the space station we flew past on the way down. And that's kind of what the sort of tech and the 64-bit precision for positional space gives you. We just can have this dynamic range of scale that I don't think any other game has. So all this up-close detail at this level at, as high quality first person as you see in any other game, but on a global or a planetary or even star system scale. Right, so Orpheus, Horizon, black box. So we've now, between the two pods, triangulated to where the black box of the Orpheus Horizon is, which is the crashed spaceship. And hopefully we'll find it. Vince is undeterred by the impending sandstorm. But seriously, the sandstorm's an example of we want to have dynamic weather on the procedural planets, and we're working to have sort of a dynamic procedural weather system and things like sandstorms, hurricanes, various weather systems are all things that we'll model onto the planets that will add additional sort of drama and challenges for when you're adventuring and playing around. Alright, let's go check out these wreckages. Maybe dangerous out in the desert, who knows? That looks like the Orpheus Horizon and desert. But we're just gonna do it! And go out there. Yeah, I know, I gotta memorize that whole speech. There. So we showed you a crashed Starfarer, this is a crashed Javelin. Okay, well, we'll just pop off here. Still about 200 meters away. And check out where we're going. Second. Looks like there's a sad nomad. So should we shoot him? Alright. Oh! Nice shot, man. Vince got cocky. He's like on the move too. sneak up behind him. Watching the incoming sandstorm. That looks like it's getting close. Okay, let's get out of here. Shit. Come on, hurry up, Vince. Go quick. Jump. Lost our way in. Right, let's see here. That's where the black box is. Right. That's where the black box would be. So let's see if let's find a way out. Connie up there, which is probably about, I think, 8 or 9 kilometers away. Maybe that's not such a good idea. How did it? Okay, that's the first time it's ever done that. But you get to see the pull-out twice now. How did it go to the console? Did you get a key or? that was a demonstration of the what we can do with the procedural planet V2 technology. Let me just go to the next slide. So we're going to. I'm going to hand it over to Sean Tracy, who's our technical content director, and Simon Vickers, who is a senior designer in Planet 42. And we're going to sort of open up the curtain a little bit. They're going to get in the editor, and they're going to sort of zip you around the planet we built for this, which will be a planet that will be in Star Citizen eventually. It's just not in the Stanton system. And so I can kind of show you some features behind it, and then there'll be a deeper dive done by the German office. So I'll hand you over shortly. And I have to say that that last thing was the first time I've ever seen it any time we've done that playthrough, but that's live demos for you. So Sean, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Hey, everyone. How's it going? All right. So, yeah, you guys know I get excited about this stuff all the time. So they thought they'd put a mic in front of me, and actually, like, usually I write down bullet points of what to say. I actually have bullet points of what not to say. So that's going to be good stuff. So I wanted to show you some behind the scenes. They want to see your screen up there. Very good. All right. So what you're seeing in front of you, myself and Simon work in this every day. This is the Spacebox editor. This is what our developers use to build our systems, build the planets. Pretty much anything that goes in the game runs through the editor. So you might recognize Port Olisar, but what you probably haven't seen before is the planet that's sitting there underneath. So one of the big things that we had to do with the CryEngine, and I get asked this a lot of times, like, what did we change from the CryEngine? Did we just take that and start plopping models into it or whatnot? Not at all. The terrain system had to be completely rewritten. So one of the biggest things that it needed to support, of course, was spherical terrain, like you're seeing up there. One of the other things it had to do was go up to a planetary scale. Now, the CryEngine terrain system was actually really good in the first place, but it was designed for, a flat 8-kilometer sort of area. And not a true planet. So one of the other things is all this stuff is runtime generation. So all of it is happening in real time right in front of you. You saw we had the frame counter up in the top right for the entire demo there. And that's something that any engineer, any artist, anybody working on the demo can really be proud of, because that frame rates of that level are hard to get when you're trying to do content to this fidelity. So one of the other things that you saw was the seamless transition from space to first-person ground. I haven't seen any other project or any other game, to that matter, that has the sheer range of scale that we have. So when you get really up close on the first-person terrain, it looks like you're down on the train. It's not blotchy. It's not too big. You don't get all screwed up with the scale. All right, so the next thing is that there's no restriction to view distance. You saw this in the whole pull-through in the initial demo, but you'll see this here as Simon zooms around within the editor. And again, this is all happening real time. We thought it best to show how we actually build this stuff for you guys so that you guys can have a little bit of faith that we're going to be able to fill all this content up for you. So one of the things we like to do is just kind of show the scale, because the scale is really hard to wrap your mind around. Even as a designer, it can be very jarring when you go from just a centimeter level of precision all the way out to thousands and thousands of kilometers. So he plopped a character in there just to give you an idea of what you're actually looking at, because it can be easy to get sort of a God complex when you're looking at this kind of stuff. All right, so I think we're going to go find a little area here and do a little bit of work, because one of the biggest and most powerful pieces of the tools, and it's probably what we work on the hardest, is that it's artist guided, but it's procedurally generated. So the artist can still have this really fine-tuned control over the areas that they want, but we can do it on such a massive scale, and they can even go in afterwards and sort of tweak up the objects. So you'll see he's actually just creating more landscape. We actually use an ecosystem technology to do this. So I'm going to let Simon paint a little bit of terrain here. And this is pretty awesome. This is what we get to do every day. So it's really exciting to be able to work on this kind of technology. And it's even better to be able to stand in front of you guys in front of this kind of technology, because there's 360 other developers that are working on this stuff. So got to say that it's a massive, massive team effort. All right, so what he's actually doing is taking down different ecosystems. The ecosystem is kind of like a high-level visual representation of a classic level, of a classic game level, really. So the ecosystem defines things like the general terrain shape. So whether it's desert, whether it's mountains, whether it's ocean. It also defines some of the main feature terrains, things like erosion or valleys and trees. And you can see as he paints around, it changes all the ecosystem underneath. All right. Shall we find a nice little spot to build up on? So while Simon looks for a little spot here, just to let you know, the planets are made out of all these ecosystem tiles or chunks, and it's made out of thousands of these chunks, and we can modify them again on a really, really macro scale, so on a planetary scale, or on a very, very micro sort of scale. So the first thing he likes to drop down is always a little bit of a lake or a river. So of course we've got the water support that we wanted to, but we had to actually rewrite the whole ocean and water volume system in the CryEngine to be able to support, again, this spherical level terrain. And as you can see, the results are actually really, really good. It's no pressure on Simon at all. So what he's placing in now is one of these object containers. So again, we thought it'd be cool if we really just kind of pulled the curtains and showed you how we make this stuff. So an object container is how we actually classify a whole bunch of different objects. So it might be lights, it might be geometry, it might even be script. There's many different things that an object container can contain. And the whole point of object containers is really so that we have this powerful streaming system so that we can bring in an entire level worth of content and then bring it out. And even better, we can fly around levels of content, which is what the capital ships are really doing. So this is the tower we just saw in Homestead. We're going to set up a little location here. We'll put a couple objects down, and we'll do a little bit of exploring. So you see how quickly the designer actually controls the procedural distribution of the trees, grass, groups of objects. And this isn't restricted to vegetation, right? You can do this with rocks. You can do this with grass. You can do this with buildings, maybe, question mark? We'll get to that at some point, I'm sure. So one of the things I did promise my German counterparts is that we'd keep the tools off the screen because they really want to reveal this stuff. They've done a ton of work on these tools. So a lot of what you see, we get to showcase, the final results of this stuff, but there is so much work that actually goes into being able to bring you that, and a lot of those guys don't get enough credit. So really excited to be able to stand in front of this stuff for them. Woohoo! So he's dressing up the scene a little bit. He's trying to make it a little bit nicer looking. We've got a special little prop here that Simon seems to like to drop in. You might recognize it. So we're creating a little home for this crab. I think he lives under the tower. Yeah. Maybe he's got a family. Yeah, it's a daddy crab, Yeah. Now we're talking, Simon. Now we're talking. So that gives you a really good idea of, this took what, maybe, 5-6 minutes, and we were able to build up just a little section. Now, this isn't about to ship out to you guys looking exactly like this, but again, it shows, I thought he was mad. We would ship it, Simon, we would ship it. You would all play it, I'm sure. So again, we need to be able to create this content super quickly, but still have that artist input, because if you don't have that artist input, eventually you end up with very generic looks, and we can't give you these moments that we really are excited to share with you. So what do you think? Should we show that? All right, so the last little bit of this is kind of a fun bit. Is in a lot of game levels, the thing is that you're in a skybox. Like, what is so hard to wrap your head around is that that's not a skybox. That's actual atmosphere scattering that's happening. The sky is blue because the light scatters, right? So let's just kind of prove that to you. Those little sprites in the sky, they're not really sprites. Those are other planets. So let's see if we can explore one of those. One of the other cool things, anyways, just about our editor in general, you saw that while he's developing, he can actually just jump in and start actually playing the game directly from it. It's a super powerful tool. You won't iterate too much on stuff. If you have to shut down, take 5 minutes to reload some other executable, then you come back to your editor. Being able to just minutely change thing after thing after thing and jump in and try it again and jump in and try it again and jump in and try it again gives you really polished content. So there's one reason I'm standing here talking about it, and Simon's flying. He's a very, very good pilot, and I think we're about to showcase this, no pressure. So that's not a sprite. Let's go. All right. So a little bit of a different looking planet here. So this is kind of showing off a little more of the exotic ecosystem that we can do, and we barely just scratched the surface on how far we can really take the exotic bits. These are sulfur lakes. This place probably just stinks. I mean, it's super hot. The sunset, though, that you can see, again, with the atmosphere scattering, we get this for free. Not for free. I mean, somebody worked very, very hard on it, Carson Wenzel. But in terms of actually running in the game, when the sun comes down on the horizon, yeah, we're going to get that scattering. We get natural day-night cycles because, well, the planet's rotating. So you see they're doing a bit of mining here, but he's brave. All right. Oh, you almost blacked out. We're all done. There's no pressure. But we really wanted to show you, again, like, without having too big of a demo put around it, we wanted to show you how we kind of, level design jazz, Simon called it earlier, just something a little bit improv. And, oh, what's this? That's somebody's flying information with us. Let's wrap this up. Yeah, there was no... So we're gonna go chase him down, see where he went. So it's an interesting ship there. All right, so we've given away way too much already. They want me to get off, I know it. I'm so sorry. All right, thanks a lot, guys. I hope you liked seeing how we actually build all this stuff for you.
All right, so that was a little view behind the curtain. A few little things that you'll see a little later on when we show you the Squadron 42 polish level. But anyway, so I'd also like to point out that the whole sort of Discover the Javelin Sandworm demo, I believe, when we did Gamescom, we didn't have any of that. So that's how quickly, with the tools that have been built by the team in Frankfurt, that we were able to sort of put that together. Obviously, we had some of those assets, like the Javelin, although we had to wreck it and put it in the desert. But all the ecosystems, building that world out, that's just the beginning. The tools are built to iterate really quickly, so what we've been concentrating on is the technology to put in place to enable us to populate the universe of Star Citizen with incredibly like high fidelity content. And if someone's doing a drinking game, I guess you have to take a shot when I say fidelity. Fidelity, fidelity, fidelity. Everyone's gonna get drunk now. But no, it's I mean, it's incredibly exciting for us as a team because the gameplay potential now because it's not just flying missions in space or even sort of wandering around in FPS on ships. I mean, there's a whole, I mean, not a whole world. There's whole worlds out there to go and explore and adventure and have different encounters on, and we're going to use that in Squadron 42, and obviously Star Citizen is going to be a large part of it. And you've just seen the tip of the iceberg, so if you see how our ships get better year after year and a bunch of our characters get better year after year, just imagine what the planets are going to look like in a year's time and everything else. But I have to say, the team that are building this is fantastic. So my hat's off to them, and my hat's off to you guys for enabling us to be able to do this. And it's 4 years. It's happy birthday for us. 4 years on. Thank you. My lovely wife here, Sandy, too. Better singer than me.
What? I'm not singing.
Oh, you're not singing? Well, you're not going to get taken off the internet now.
No, I'm not out here to sing.
It's public domain.
I'm out here to announce CitizenCon 2017 will be held in Frankfurt. So as soon as we have all the details, we will share them. And I'd like to give it up for all of the staff who have put in like hours and hours and hours all around the world, all our 363 staff. And our volunteers, where are our volunteers? Okay, they're coming. Who's going to kick? Chris, are you going to kick off the singing?
What's that?
You're going to kick off the song?
I can't. My singing's awful. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Star Citizen. Happy birthday to you. There you go.
So people can see it or no?
Oh, I have to cut the cake. Oh, geez. All right, here we go. Just do it! I did it. All right, who wants to cut out other things? All right, I would say thank you to everyone here. Thank you to everyone up on stage. Thank you to everyone watching out there. And I think now it's time to have some drinks and fun. All right, there you go.